So far, we have been talking of quadratic expression, and now we are going to look at quadratic equations. So a quadratic expression, we have been talking of ax squared plus bx, then we have plus c. When you equate this to 0, then this is a quadratic equation. This is a quadratic equation, and an equation we are supposed to solve. So we are going to use factor method to solve the quadratic equation. To get the value of values of x. So I'm going to do examples for you to see how we solve quadratic equations using the factor method. So our example 1, we have example 1. Solve the following equations. So we'll start with the equation x squared plus 6x, that is plus 6x plus 8 is equals to 0. So note here that we have equated to 0 because this is now an equation. An equation, we will need to find the value of x. So this is how you do it. We have learned how to factorize, and if you look at this part here, the coefficient of x is equals to 1. And how did we factorize that? We looked for two numbers, m and m plus n should give us 6, and m multiplied by n should give us 8. So that is how we factorized. So if you look at 6 and 8, we can try number 4 and 2. So we try 4 and 2. If you add 4 and 2, you get 6. If you multiply 4 and 2, you get 8. So this number satisfies the condition that we want. So we can rewrite our equation as x squared plus 4x plus 2x plus 8 is equals to 0. Once you write like that, just like we did when we were factorizing, we factor out what is common here in these two. So we find it is x. We'll be left with 4 plus x, not 4 plus x plus 4, because we have factored x. And here we factor out 2 plus 2. So we'll be left with x plus 4. So we can write our factors like this. We factor out x plus 4, you get that, and will be left inside the bracket x plus 2 is equals to 0. Now, this is what you argue here. If we take two numbers, if we say a multiplied by b is equals to 0, then it implies that either a is equals to 0 or b is equals to 0. One of them must be 0, so that you end up with 0. And therefore we say, if you multiply these two and you get is equals to 0, then what it means is that either x plus 4 is equals to 0 or x plus 2 is equals to 0. One of them must be equals to 0, so that the product is equals to 0. So once you write like that, you take 4 to the other side, then it becomes minus. So x is equals to minus 4, or let's write that properly. Or if you take 2 to the other side, x is equals to minus 2. The value of x has the x has two values which satisfies the equation, and we can be able to check whether it is true. So if you take x is equals to we can substitute x is equals to minus 4 in our equation. So minus 4 squared, that will give you 16. Then minus 4 times 6, that is minus 24. So 16 minus 24 is minus 8. Minus 8 plus 8 is equals to 0. So you see minus 4 satisfies our equation. What about x is equals to minus 2? Minus 2 squared is 4. Plus minus 2, 6 times minus 2 is minus 12. So 4 plus minus 12 is minus 8. Minus 8 plus 8 will give you 0. So this means that the two values satisfies our equation, and that is how we solve a quadratic equation. So let's do another example. Example 2, we are told solve the equation. So our equation is x squared plus we have 3x minus 54 is equals to 0. Now here we need to solve this, we need to find the value of values of x. In some cases x has one value, in other cases x has two values. So what we do is we get two numbers such that when you add them, a plus b should be able to give you 3, and a multiplied by b should be able to get you minus 54. So what are these two numbers? We can take 6 and 9, minus 6 and 9, minus 6 and 9. These are factors of 54. If you add minus 6, 9 plus minus 9 plus minus 6 will get 3. 9 multiplied by minus 6 will give you minus 54. So once you get that, then you rewrite your equation, x squared plus 9x, and we have minus 6x, and we have minus 54 is equals to 0. So this is x into bracket, we factor out x, we get x plus 9. Here we factor out minus 6, we'll be left with x plus 9 is equals to 0. So we have x plus 9, we factor out x plus 9, and we will be left with x minus 6 is equals to 0. So this is what we have done in factorizing in lesson 2 and that is 3 and 4. So we have said that if these two are, when you multiply these two and you get 0, then either, we say either x plus 9 is equals to 0, or x minus 6 is equals to 0. So implying that x is equal, we take 9 to the other side, becomes negative, and we get that is minus 9, or x is equals to, you take 6 to the other side, minus 6 to the other side becomes positive, and you get x is equals to 6. So this means that if you substitute x is equals to 9, that is 9 squared is 81. 81 plus 81 plus that is 9 minus 27, you get 54. 54 minus 54 is 0. If you substitute x is equals to 6, this will be 36. 36 plus 18 is 54. 54 minus 54 is 0. So that means that the two values satisfies our equation, and that is the solution to that. In this example, we are going to solve the equation we have 4x squared plus 7x, and we have plus 3 is equals to 0. Now, this is an equation where the coefficient of x squared is 4, not 1. So, and remember we have learned how to factorize quadratic equations where the coefficient of x squared is not equals to 1. So what we do is we get two numbers, that is we multiply 4 multiplied by 3, that will give us 12. So we get two numbers, m plus n should give us 7 is equals to 7, and m multiplied by n should give us 12. The product of a coefficient of x squared and a constant. So what are these two numbers? I can say these two numbers are, we can say it is, we try, that is 6 times 2 is a, that will give us 12, that is not. Then we try, let's factorize 12. So this is by 2 is 6, by 3 is by 2 is 3. So we try 4 and 3. When you add 4 and 3, you get 7. When you add when you multiply 4 times 3, you get 12. So we are going to rewrite our expression and say this is 4x squared plus, now here we have 4x plus 3x, and we have plus 3 is equals to 0. So when you write like that, here you can factor out 4. That is 4x, that is 4x. You will be left with x plus 1. Here you can factor out 3. You will be left with x plus 1 is equals to 0. Factor out that, and you will be able to get x plus 1, that into bracket. You will be left inside the bracket with 4x plus 3 is equals to 0. So just like we have said in the other example, if this is a product, if this x plus 1 into bracket and multiplied by 4x plus 3 is equals to 0, then either we say either x plus 1 is equals to 0, or 4x plus 3 is equals to 0. So in this case, we take x to the other side, we will be able to get x is equals to minus 1, or the other one, we take 3 to the other side, so we have 4x is equals to minus 3, divide both sides by 4, divide by 4, and this implies that x is equals to minus 3 over 4. So these are the two values that satisfy our quadratic expression. So we say that x is equals to minus 1 or minus 3 over 4. And if you take each and every value in this case and substitute in our equation here, you'll be able to see that when you substitute minus 1 in place of x, you add all this, you should be able to get 0. When you substitute 3 over 4, minus 3 over 4 in place of x, you find that it still works. So that is how you solve that quadratic equation. So I hope you are following that. In this example, we are going to solve the equation we have 4x squared plus 7x, and we have plus 3 is equals to 0. Now, this is an equation where the coefficient of x squared is 4, not 1. So, and remember we have learned how to factorize quadratic equations where the coefficient of x squared is not equals to 1. So what we do is we get two numbers, that is we multiply 4 multiplied by 3, that will give us 12. So we get two numbers, m plus n should give us 7 is equals to 7, and m multiplied by n should give us 12, the product of a coefficient of x squared and the constant. So what are these two numbers? I can say these two numbers are, we can say it is, we try, that is 6 times 2 is a, that will give us 12, that is not. Then we try, let's factorize 12. So this is by 2 is 6, by 3 is by 2 is 3. So we try 4 and 3. When you add 4 and 3, you get 7. When you add when you multiply 4 times 3, you get 12. So we are going to rewrite our expression and say this is 4x squared plus, now here we have 4x plus 3x and we have plus 3 is equals to 0. So when you write like that, here you can factor out 4. That is 4x, that is 4x. You will be left with x plus 1. Here you can factor out 3. You will be left with x plus 1 is equals to 0. Factor out that and you will be able to get x plus 1. That into bracket, you will be left inside the bracket with 4x plus 3 is equals to 0. So just like we have said in the other example, if this is a product, if this x plus 1 into bracket and multiplied by 4x plus 3 is equals to 0, then either we say either x plus 1 is equals to 0 or 4x plus 3 is equals to 0. So in this case, we take x to the other side, we will be able to get x is equals to minus 1, or the other one we take 3 to the other side, so we have 4x is equals to minus 3, divide both sides by 4, divide by 4, and this implies that x is equals to minus 3 over 4. So these are the two values that satisfy our quadratic expression. So we say that x is equals to minus 1 or minus 3 over 4. And if you take each and every value in this case and substitute in our equation here, you'll be able to see that when you substitute minus 1 in place of x, you add all this, you should be able to get 0. When you substitute 3 over 4, minus 3 over 4 in place of x, you find that it still works. So that is how you solve that quadratic equation. So I hope you are following that. Another example, we are told solve the equation. Solve the equation. We have x plus 20 over x is equals to 9. So the way this equation is, we cannot be able to work with it the way it is. It is a quadratic expression, yes, but it is not in the format that we can be able to work with. So what we do is we remove this x in the denominator. So we multiply by x there, we multiply by x, and we multiply by x. Once you do that, x multiplied by x will be x squared. This x here will cancel with that. So so we have plus 20. Then 9 multiplied by x will give us 9x. We bring x to this side, 9x. Then we'll be able to have our x squared this will be minus 9x plus 20 is equals to 0. So that now our equation is in a format that we can work with. So what we do now from here is we get two numbers such that when you add them you get minus 9, when you multiply them you get 20. So these numbers are minus 5 and 4 and minus 4. If you add minus 5 plus minus 4 you get minus 9, minus 5 plus multiply by minus 4 you get positive 20. So we rewrite our equation x squared, that will be minus 5x now minus 4x plus 20 is equals to 0. We factor out what is common here. So what is common there is x. We will be left with x minus 5. Then we have, so remember when you open the bracket you should still get the same. Here you factor out minus 4, you get x, x becomes now positive and this becomes negative 5, so that when you multiply minus 4 times x you get minus 4x, minus 4 multiplied by minus 5 you get positive 20 is equals to 0. Now from there what we do is we factor out what is common. We have x minus 5 is common, and we will be left with x minus 4 is equals to 0. So this implies that x minus 5 is equals to 0, or x minus 4 is equals to 0. With that, we will be able to get, you take minus 5x to the other side, it becomes positive. So this means that our x is equals to 5. And the other one, we take minus 4 to the other side, and we say x now becomes 4. So x is equals to 5 or 4. And if you substitute your value in this equation here, then you should be able to get it satisfies the equation. So that's how we solve that kind of equation. So let's do another example. So here is another example. Solve the equation. So our equation is 1 over 4 minus 1 over 9. We have x squared is equals to 0. Now, if you realize that we have worked out, we have discussed about quadratic equations, and now it is, and I have tried to do as many examples as possible to show you how you manipulate the equation. So for example, this one, we can write it like this. 1 over 2 squared is the same as a quarter minus 1 over 3x into bracket, this is x squared, is the same as 1 over 9 squared is equals to 0. Why am I writing that? So that I'll be able to utilize the difference of two squares. So we say that this is a square, this is a square. A difference of two squares can be written like this: x plus 1 over 3x, and the other one is 1 over 2 minus 1 over 3x. So this is equals to 0. So we now have our factors. So we say that x is equal, that is, we say that either a half plus a third x is equals to 0, or a half minus a third x is equals to 0. So with that, we can now go ahead and say, let's take this a half to the other side. It becomes negative. So a third x is equals to minus a half. So we multiply both sides by 3. So our x will be minus 3 over 2. The other one is we take a that to the other side, so we have that x is equals to a half. We multiply both sides by 3, we get x is equals to 3 over 2. So those are the values that satisfy. So this means that we can write now x is equals to, it is either minus 3 over 2 or 3 over 2. So those are the values that satisfies our equation. So it depends on the way your equation. We can do as many examples as possible, but now it remains upon you to utilize the knowledge that we have learned throughout this topic to be able to solve quadratic expressions. So, but the basic remains that when you are given a quadratic equation, then you factorize and you work it out. And here it is important to note that since we have just begun quadratic, this is the quadratic 1. There is the first topic in Form 3, that is quadratic 2. You run other method of solving quadratic equations. So there are other quadratic equations which cannot be solved by the factor method, and that you are going to run in Form 3. But as long as you pick your book, your textbook in Form 2, you should find equations which you can practice with. Now I want to take you through a question that was done in KCSE, and we see how we go about it. So this question was done in 1990, paper 1, question number 1, and we are told solve. We are given a quadratic equation 2x squared plus x, that is minus 36, is equals to 0. So this is a quadratic equation. So we get two numbers as that when you add them you get 1, when you multiply them you get minus 36. These numbers are, so you get 72 because we multiply 2 times 36, you get minus 36, you get minus 72. So these numbers are, we can take 9 and minus 8, which are the factors of 72. So we can now rewrite our equation 2x squared plus 9x minus 8x minus 36 is equals to 0. Here we factor out what is common. It's only x that is common. So we have 2x plus 9. And here we factor out, I think we have 4 is common, minus 4. So we'll be left with the 2x plus 9 is equals to 0. So this implies that 2x plus 9 and x minus 4 is equals to 0. So once you do that, then you should be able to get 2x plus 9 is equals to 0, or x minus 4 is equals to 0. So this, for the first one, you take 9 to the other side, you have x is equals to, that will be minus 9, and you divide by 2, that will be the value of x, or we take 4 to the, this we take minus 4 to the other side, we get 4, which we can say x is equals to, you can say 4.5 or 4.5 minus 4.5 or 4. So that's how you are supposed, and by doing that they were given 4 marks. So you can see, you can now apply the knowledge that you have learned to be able to solve KCSE questions. So that brings us to the end of this lesson on quadratic equations. I'm going to give you a few questions as a part of your exercise. You can solve them, send them to me through my WhatsApp number or my email, and I will be able to advise you on what to do. You can also check on quadratic KCSE past quadratic equations, which I have done, and you'll be able to learn more about quadratics, expressions and equations. So let's have an exercise for your practice. So our exercise, solve the following equations. So the first one we have, you can do this one, 2x squared plus 3x, that is minus 2 is equals to 0. Number 2, you can try this one, 16x plus 24 plus 2x squared is equals to 0. Number 3, you can work on this one, 3x squared plus x, 3x squared plus x squared minus 4x is equals to 0. And then we have number 4, we have 3x squared minus 2x is equals to 5. So you can work on those, and you can see whether you have followed what we have done. Then let's do another lesson, that is formation of quadratic equations.